Welcome back to another episode of the Wisdom of Pan Qing Fu. I've started this new series to try to perpetuate some of his teachings since he passed away a couple of years ago. So he was one of the real old school masters. He was in a number of movies. He was a bad guy in the Shaolin Temple movie with Jet Li, the movie Iron and Silk, and a bunch of other smaller movies, Kids from Shaolin, Martial Arts of Shaolin, Tiger Claws, Last to Surrender, and so on. So I trained with him for a number of years, 30 odd years, and he left me with lots of notes. For every class, we used to go through all kinds of notes. He'd given them to me in Chinese, and we translate them and talk about their meanings. So I want to share these with you. So if you watched last week, we talked a little bit about the idea of really training something so well that it becomes very versatile, so you can use one technique against 10,000 techniques. So this time I'd like to go over a saying that Master Pan had that was something that really kind of, I think, relates to it. So this saying, it goes in Chinese like this: 容易不用力，用力不用易，自动化. So that, if we kind of break it down, goes like this: 容易不用力. Yong means use. Yi means your mind. But in this instance, it can also mean your intention. So your intention or your purpose. So kind of like your focus, what you're trying to do. Bu yong means don't use, and then li means power. So 容易不用力 means use your mind or your intention, but don't use power. And the next line is really the reverse. So it says 用力不用易, which means use power, but don't use your mind. And then the final line, 自动化. 自 means like self or yourself. 动 means like movement. And then 化 means it's kind of like an add-on word in this case, meaning to make something happen. So in this case, the meaning 自动化 means automation, to make something automatic or make something happen automatically. So I think if you look that line up in the dictionary, it would directly translate as to make automatic. I think something like that. But the way he described it was spontaneous. So his whole message here was use your mind or your intention, don't use power. Use power, don't use your mind. Then you will be spontaneous. So what does this mean? So if we can look at it in a number of different ways and with a number of different martial arts. So we talked about it a lot when we were going through it in the notes here. So you can look at it from the aspect of when you're first learning something. So when you're first learning something, you don't know it at all, clearly. So your teacher's going to teach it to you in your martial arts club. And this can really be any martial art. So in this case, we're talking about Kung Fu, because Pan Qing Fu, he was teaching Kung Fu, of course. But this can really apply to all kinds of different martial arts. So it could be Japanese martial arts, it could be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. There's all kinds of awesome martial arts out there with their own techniques and their own focus. So in this case, 容易不用力, you are learning something new. You've never done it before. So even if you're experienced in the martial art, but your teacher, your master, is bringing something new to you. When you're first starting to learn it, it's going to be brand new. You're not really going to get it. You're not going to get it right away. So the whole idea here is to slow it down. Take your time with it. Focus on what it is you're doing, and your teacher will really help you with this. And if you're in a martial arts club, you can get your Kung Fu brothers and sisters to help you with this as well. Get them to watch what you're doing. If you're doing partner work, maybe it's a sparring move, or maybe it's a ground grappling move. So when you do it, slow it down. Understand the intention of it. Understand what the use is for. So that's one of the key things. Pan Qing Fu, he really respected all kinds of martial arts teachers, But the thing that he respected the most about a teacher is if the teacher could really explain what the movement was for. So whether it's a real sparring movement or a form, it could be a Tai Chi form, it could be a weapons form, whatever, as long as you know what the meaning is behind it, so the application. Maybe you're not going to go be an MMA fighter, but it's critical, no matter what you're doing, even if it's slow Tai Chi, to understand what was that move originally designed for, even if you're not going to use it in combat, because that will give you the intention, the meaning behind it, and that will help you move correctly. So you practice it over and over and over again. So just like we were talking about last week, practice it to death. And in that way, you're not using power. You're going slow. You're trying to get everything right. And then eventually, your sort of muscle memory will take over. And then you'll be able to really be able to do it in an easy and smooth way. At that point, you start applying power. You start applying speed. And then it becomes more and more natural. So it becomes a real natural reaction. So even if it's a sparring move, then you're going to react really quickly. So I've also been training in China in Wudang Mountains with a teacher there, Yuan Shugong. And this actually leads into a quote that's attributed with him, something that he feels is important about the martial art. And so the quote goes something like this: "Learning Kung Fu has only one purpose, to train one's reaction into a natural response. Such reaction is essential." So it really relates back to what Pan Qing Fu is saying with Zidonghua. So there's a phenomenon actually, if we need to move something, we're getting signals from our brain to move something. So, if I want to pick up something, I have to, think that I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to have signals from my brain go through my nervous system, be able to twitch the muscles so I can grab something and pick it up. However, if you've ever been burnt, then you'll know, or been around something really hot, your hand touching is unexpectedly something really hot, you pull it away in an instant. And apparently this principle goes that, something like that, the feeling will just go straight to your spinal cord, your nervous system, and then back down again, so that there's less of a reaction time. It doesn't actually go to your mind. So you're not actually having to really concentrate on pulling something in. So this is the idea of training something so much that it ends up becoming a natural reflex, a natural reaction. So whether it's part of a form, so that you know what to do at the right spot in the form, or it's part of a fighting movement that you're going to use in a tournament or even in a self-defense situation, it becomes such an automatic thing that it just kind of happens without you thinking. You get a punch coming in a certain direction and you automatically respond. So that leads to the next statement. The next statement is Yong Li Bu Yong Yi. So at that point, you're ready to use power and not use your mind. So you already understand the intention. You've drilled the movement so much that it's just become part of your body. It's in your muscle memory. So at that point, you can really go for it. You can increase the speed. You can increase the power. Increasing speed is increasing power. Increasing power will give you speed. So at that point, you're really ready, and then you're ready to do it right. So at that point, you're adding these things, but still keeping the form and still keeping the function. So your first two statements, when they go together, use your mind, but don't use your power. Use power, don't use mind. When you achieve that, then you are spontaneous. Then you have zizonghua. So that's really the key, I think, in any martial art. So when you're practicing, whether it's a beginner and you're starting from nothing, that's when you really need to kind of take it slow, work on the basics, let your teacher help you with the basics, let all your classmates help you with the basics, get them to give you feedback. Even when you go home, use your cell phone to tape yourself doing some of the movements and see, does it really look like the way I think it feels like, and compare it back to what you saw your teacher show you. And in that way you can correct yourself, film yourself again, or bounce it off your teacher, make sure that you're getting corrections in person from them or your classmates, and then keep drilling it. It can be boring to just keep repeating, but that's where the magic happens. When you go to the martial arts club, whatever martial art it is, you're there to learn. You're going to practice a bit, but you're there to learn. Then the magic really happens when you go away and train on your own. So that's where you can really drill the reactions in. So it's the time in between class. You gotta practice. And Pan Qing Fu, he was really adamant about that. Every time we did a class, I do a class somewhere between 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times a week with him. But in between each class, he expected me to train somewhere between 2 to 4 hours a day.
老师，我每天应该练多少？
最好练4到6个钟头。
And then when I came back, he expected that move to be ready and to be, getting to the point where I have zidonghua. And if I didn't, then I'd be kind of in a little bit of trouble. So it's just repetition, repetition, repetition. There's nothing magic, nothing mystical about it. It's just really working the move, working yourself. And when you're doing all this, your skill level is going to go up, your fitness level is going to go up as well. And overall, you're really going to get the benefit out of the martial art. So it could be, working a partner on the ground in BJJ. It could be doing the moves with the correct intention and mechanics and everything like that in Tai Chi. So whatever it is that you're doing, you'll get the benefit that particular movement, that particular martial art was designed for. Well, I hope you found this advice useful. Whether it be for training your martial arts for forms or even for fighting, competition, or self-defense. And if you did, hit the like button down below and comment if you'd like to see more of these. And if you do, subscribe, and I'll put more of his sayings up online soon. I've got books and books full of this stuff. So we'll see if we can find some things that are helpful to the community out there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Keep training.
这位表演常见的是国家教练潘清，也许你很面熟吧？告诉你，他就是电影《少林寺》的武术指导。 瞧，他的剑法已经到了炉火纯青、出神入化的境界。